Erroneous we are. What's up, guys? It's your boy McKinley Crain here, and today I'm going to be doing my spoiler-free movie review of Fear Street Part 3, 1666. Now, let's get into it. So, for those of you who don't already know, Fear Street is like this Netflix trilogy of like horror movies. But the thing is, it's not like a normal movie trilogy where one movie comes out 1 year and then like another movie will come out like a year from that, or more than that, more years than that. This is the kind of movie where it's like, this is the kind of trilogy of movies where like they all come out like within the same year and like only within like a week and a half like time difference. So it's kind of like how back in 2003 when the Wachowskis released the sequel to the 1999 masterpiece which was The Matrix, and released The Matrix Reloaded. They released The Matrix Revolutions like within the same year, like there wasn't even a year difference. There was like only like a 6-month difference, I think, between when the movies were released. A 6 to 8 month difference. I don't know for sure, but I know for a fact they were both released in the same year. So it's kind of like that. But they're all still like movies. And Fear Street is still a trilogy of movies. It's just that it's kind of like a special kind of trilogy of movies. Anyway, this is the third movie. So I watched this one last Friday on the day it came out. I was just too busy to do my review of it, so I'm doing that now. So the thing about this movie is it's got like all the like original characters from like the past two movies, right? But like it's like a lot of it takes place in 1666, but the thing is it's like the main characters from what's going on is that the main characters from like the first two movies, like specifically from the first Fear Street movie, are like, like they're basically like so like they're kind of like they've kind of like touched this cursed object that was cursed by Sarah Fear. And it basically like brings their minds back in time. Well, this is specifically only happening to one person. But it's like bringing her mind back in time into like, like the place into like Sarah Fear's body, like, or something like that. It's hard to explain, but it's like she's basically like going back in time, like in her mind. Like her mind is going back to the year 1666 and is like in a whole bunch of Sarah Fear's memories. So like the main character of this series is playing Sarah Fear from 1666 and like seeing things through her perspective. Kind of like, I guess it's technically time travel, I guess, but it's similar to like Days of Future Past time travel, where it's just like your brain's time traveling. And so basically what happens is like all the characters from like all the actual like characters in 1666 are kind of like replaced by like the characters from the past two movies, like it's supposed to be like the actual characters, but it's like they kind of like Wizard of Oz this movie, like if you've ever seen the Wizard of Oz, you know how like Dorothy like gets like caught in the tornado, and then like she goes to the magical land of Oz or whatever, and then like all the characters, well, some of the characters are like basically different characters, but they look like people from her past, but they're not. They're like alternate versions. It's kind of like that, but it's like it just like takes those characters, and it's like, hey, this is what happened to like Sarah Fear and everything in 1666. This is the origin of Sarah Fear, and yeah, that's the first half of the movie. And in my opinion, that's when the movie is at its best. Both halves of the movie were great, but I preferred the first half of this movie a little bit more. The first and second half of this movie are very tonally different, and they're intentionally tonally different, which is why when the tone shifts, and it goes to basically, and like this character snaps out of like the Sarah Fear memory thing. Like the movie basically like starts the second half with a title card that says Fear Street 1994 Part 2, which like they know that there's like a huge change in tone, and they're like acknowledging it. They're saying, hey, we know, so don't attack us. Anyway, and there's nothing wrong with that. It works very well, and it feels the second half feels very necessary, by the way. This movie was incredible in my opinion. And the first half is like all of these Fear Street movies are horror movies, but in my opinion, the third one is the most like horror-y of the horror movies, the most like horror-esque. Like it's like the most pure horror of all three of the movies, especially in the first hour and the first half. And I think that the Sarah Fear origin story was done very well. And I love the whole tone of this movie. Like, well, the tones. I love all the tones in this movie because the tone shifts halfway through. But intentionally so. And this movie doesn't feel uneven. I know it sounds like it would feel uneven, because of like the tone shift or whatever in the second half, but it doesn't feel uneven at all. This movie was just great, and in my opinion, it's one of the best movies of the year. I love this movie. Was it perfect? No. Was it great? Yes. It was terrific. And I loved the whole atmosphere of the movie, especially in the first half. That unsettling atmosphere, like unsettling tone of the first half was gripping and just made the movie even more entertaining and enjoyable. And I thought that, the people who made this movie did a fantastic job telling Sarah Fear's origin story, and, did a fantastic job just closing out this trilogy. I don't think there's going to be a Fear Street Part 4, but I've heard that Netflix, is, planning on making a few spin-offs, in the future, and I'm really looking forward to those. And I love the acting in this movie. The acting in this movie is just amazing. And the characters are all very likable, and I think that the twists and turns in this movie are great, and very satisfying and make a lot of sense. Um, there's one twist that I liked more than the other, but they're both great twists. And I'm going to give this movie a 90% out of 100%, which is the equivalent of an A-. Like, subscribe, join the notification squad. I will return.